The Blazers are making staff changes. Damian Lillard blows out an Achilles. Should the Blazers pursue Giannis? And no Rookie of the Year votes for Donovan Clingan, which will lead into, or maybe follow, our discussion on centers with the Portland Trail Blazers moving forward. Welcome to the Blazer Focus Podcast. I'm Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian and OregonLive, joined by my main man, Craig Birnbach, who's basking in the glory of an amazing playoff series between the Pistons and the Knicks. Are you nervous? Are you nervous?
Oh, hey, yeah. Hell, yeah. I can't even talk. I'm so nervous. I really did not want it to go, past 5. I thought our best players got playing on one leg. That ankle's just not strong enough, and the Celtics are now resting. Like, that can't be good. That's not good.
That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all.
Just try not to get bounced. Try not to get bounced in the first round, like the Lakers and the Bucks, which we're going to talk about. I
think you got this though. You'll win one of the next 2. You'll be fine.
Let's hope so.
You won't lose Game 7 at home. There's no way.
I don't have hair to lose for Game 7, so at least I'm there. But my gosh, I got a young son. I got to live a long time. I can't take added stress. Like, this is supposed to be free joy. Just, I don't need these games coming down the wire and going to Game 7. And, when I was young, when we were having the Pistons and the Bulls rivalries and I could handle it. I don't know if I can handle it. But anyway, that's for me and my therapist.
All right, let's jump in with, he's not a Blazer anymore, but he's one of the greatest Blazers of all time, Damian Lillard. Just a devastating left Achilles tear against Indiana. He's done clearly for the playoffs and could miss all of next season. Kevin Durant missed all the following season after getting injured in the playoffs. Several years ago, Klay Thompson was coming off a knee injury, then blew out his Achilles and missed the full season, of course. I would argue, even at age 35, that Damian possibly could be back last month, the final month of next season, and get ready to go into the playoffs. Maybe that's possible. Things can happen. You never know. We'll see how that goes. If not, he wouldn't be coming back until the 26-27 season at age 36 in the final year of his contract. This, of course, well, first let's talk about that before we get to Giannis. Just how devastating is this for this guy? He wanted a chance to just get a look at being relevant. Last year, Giannis misses the entire first round against Indiana and they lose 4-2. This year, he battles back from a blood clot, is out there giving his all, trying to help this team win a series, and then a freak injury where he reaches back with his leg to plant to go get a loose ball, tap it to a teammate, immediately grabs his left leg, falls to the ground, and the look on his face was like he knew. They carry him off the course. Chris Haynes, who's obviously really tight with Damian, reports they think it might be a tear. Of course, it ends up being a tear. Just what went through your mind when this happened? I'm not gonna lie, I felt sick for the guy. Like I want all major stars to get a shot. You don't have to always win it, but just get a look, right? And I wanted him to have that look. He was getting that look playing with one of the greatest power forwards of all time, and it may be over. So what do you think?
I started texting you, and I had not, and I couldn't.
Right.
Like I just ugh. Like, we're not 12. I don't need to write ugh to you. You know what I mean? Like, I had nothing to say that would have added.
We often act 12 though, Craig. So it would have tracked. But go ahead.
Right, but we're not cool enough to know how to text like we're 12. Like where that would have been. I don't know the emojis. I just was like, I honestly started writing to you. I'm like, what am I going to say to him that he's not already thinking the same exact thing? And I must have replayed it like 6 times looking for there to be like right after. I went right on social to because they didn't replay it that much on the broadcast because there was the game, and I was looking for it to find any way possible that it wasn't an Achilles. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
we've covered this.
Be a calf.
Anything, right?
Anything.
Like, where was it? Maybe he did tweak his ankle, but like there was no doubt. I mean, we've all interviewed everyone. I mean, Nate McMillan, he ruptured his Achilles, and I remember talking to him about it. Like, it's the weirdest injury for them to feel. Like, because at first you're like, what was that? Who kicked me? Or people have said it felt like they got shot, in the back of their leg, and then they can't move. Yeah, it was just devastating. Everything that could go wrong with this trade has gone wrong. I feel for both teams. I just think this was absolutely what Dame feared. When Dame used to talk about not wanting to be traded, he talked about the cases where people asked for trades and it worked out terribly. Because everyone always wants to talk about the ones that worked out perfectly.
Right.
But he would always say there's so many cautionary tales out there. Why do I want to risk it? I want to win here. And I think we can win here. Like if we do a few things, I think I can win here. As opposed to, sure, I could go jump on and be on a super team maybe, but it doesn't always work. Look at this. Like he gave, Russell Westbrook examples and, and then for it to happen. And look, I don't think he should try to come back next year. These injuries with the Achilles, we've heard people re-rupture them, and
there's 6 to 12 months where you could be back playing. So I'm just saying, if he came back March,
I hope so.
March would be right, but March would be.
Yep.
You just finished April, right? That'd be 11 months. So, right. So if he came back and played March, and then got himself ready for mid-April to be, close to playoff speed, even if he's only giving you 28, 30 minutes, then I'm just saying there's a possibility because of when it happened. Now Durant,
and the whole thing is what's his team going to look like? It's like
that's what I'm saying. Like I think if they think he might be able to come back for the playoffs or in the season, then maybe they plan it. Okay, let's just get in the postseason and get Dame back. But when Durant had no reason to even try and come back the next year because Clay was out and the team sucked. Right, so there was no reason. But I think Durant probably could have come back. Kobe came back by November. I think that was 9 months for him, I think. So I'm just saying it's possible. It's possible. But he's 35.
But we also know the truth of the matter is everyone who's had this injury says it takes even more time, to
be
feel
fully,
and you're never back.
Right.
But you're never the same.
Right. But maybe again, I'm just trying to paint possibilities. He can come back and not be Mr. Cut and move, and he can just be Mr. Shooter. He can be Peyton Pritchard and give you something. So anyway, I'm just trying to find something to cling to that he just doesn't miss an entire opportunity with the Bucks.
But we know he's gonna attack his rehab like crazy.
Oh yeah, he's gonna put in the work like a crazy man. So that's what I'm saying. Like if anyone can do it, it would be someone like Damian. Okay, so when this happened, I'm not gonna lie. The first thing that went through my head was,
he's coming back.
Could be available. No, Giannis could be available.
See, that wasn't my first thing.
The Blazers have their pick and their swaps.
Yeah,
I wasn't about to write that kind of thing day one because I thought that was a little morbid. But I kind of thought my man Bill Oram might, and he did not disappoint. He came back the next day with a column. It was a perfect column topic, right? And he speculated, could the Blazers get in on this? They have this, the secret weapon with these picks and swaps. And then I waited, and then I think yesterday I tweeted out something to the effect that there is a close to 0% chance that Giannis would choose. And again,
of course not.
He will be able to choose.
Of course,
we went through this with Damian. People like, he's under contract. They can do. No, this doesn't work that way with superstars. Dame only ended up in Milwaukee, one, because Joe refused to negotiate with Miami. And then Aaron Goodwin, Dame's agent, went to Dame and convinced him to go to Milwaukee. Milwaukee asked, if we trade for Dame, will he come here and want to be here? Dame said, fine. Boom, he went there. Had Dame said no, the Bucks wouldn't have done it because why do you want a disgruntled superstar? So Giannis is going to have even more power, I think, because he's younger and better. Okay, so Giannis is going to pick where he wants to go,
and bigger,
right, and bigger. So Giannis is going to pick where he wants to go, and Rip City ain't it. He's going to pick a place. First, he's going to pick a place where there's already another All-Star. Okay, why would he come here with whatever's left after you trade for him? And then he's supposed to think that the Blazers are going to go out and get another All-Star? When was the last time the Blazers traded or acquired an All-Star? Hardly ever. And plus, you have to give it assets to get Giannis. How are you going to get another All-Star? That's one. Number two, he's just not picking Portland in general. Like he can have any one of the 29 other teams to pick from. He's not picking Portland. He's picking a place where he's going to contend right away, not wait for the franchise to somehow rebuild around him, especially after they couldn't do it around Dame. And I have zero doubt whatsoever that Dame said a lot of things about the Blazers in that regard that probably Giannis heard. And he's probably not going to feel like they're going to do a good job of building around him. Plus, him coming to Portland for whatever assets go to Milwaukee probably would make Portland worse than what Milwaukee would be just if he stays there. So, zero chance of it happening. It's a nice fantasy, though. What say you?
Yeah, I think it's crazy to even mention Portland because the whole point of him being traded is to win a championship and to be tied in a team that is at the cusp and not rebuilding. If he wants to rebuild, he'd be like, I'll just chill. Like I'll stay here then. I mean, I get that the Bucks, I mean, if you're the Bucks trading him, only really it makes sense because you have got nowhere to go. You're frozen with 2 huge contracts.
Huge.
You traded all your picks. So I get it. But at the same time, like stinking in Milwaukee doesn't do great for your brand and selling tickets. Like if you have Giannis, you're close. He won a title with stuff. Like it's not like he didn't. They got him a point guard that won a title. You know what I mean? And at the time, he had a good team. Middleton was good, but I mean, no, of course he's not going to come here. Like you look at Houston and OKC, they might go get him. You know what I mean? Like they've got all these picks and all this
and
stuff.
They got dudes. And they got
dudes.
Right.
And they could get close to all-star. And if you're going to do something like take a chance to trust a franchise that's not quite there yet, but you think they could get there fast, Miami, just do that. And no, of course, it's just
I don't think Miami has the assets. I don't think Miami has the assets.
But I'm just saying they figure out ways. I mean, let's just be honest. Jimmy Butler's in Golden State. Like weird crap happens.
Right.
The thing that's interesting is that wasn't my first thought because I think whoever thinks that that's a possibility is hoping that there's still got.
It's a fantasy. It's a fan fantasy. Right. No one else in the country is even contemplating Giannis to Portland except maybe people in Portland. Right. No one else is even talking about it.
My first thought was, that Dame thing about coming back at the end of his career, that just became to me a much stronger reality because he's going to miss a whole year.
That doesn't happen until his contract's over with.
Right. It's 1 year of. That's 1 year of playing in my mind. That's what I was like. When he went down and it was Achilles, my thought is that's the whole year. Next year he's gone and he'll come back. He'll play. And even if it's, remember, I mean, there's a time in which that contract is not much. You know what I mean? Like if you have because it expires. So he could get traded to the Blazers who currently, when you look at it, if they could somehow get rid of Grant, there's going to be money there. You pick up $20 million for the back end or $25 million for the back end, and then you re-sign him to a 2-year affordable type thing, and he's back just like he said. That was my thought. Like suddenly this is more of a reality.
Right. And he and Cronin and Goodwin and all those guys have mended fences. Right. They which I predicted the day all that stuff went down. I tweeted about it. Like, I tweeted about it's bad now, and I had a picture. I tweeted those two together and said, time heals wounds. They'll figure it out. They'll come together at some point. So I mean, and
who knows who's going to be here in 2 years? Like we don't know.
Well, yeah. So, but if
those extensions don't mean everything,
right? But if they keep making nice moves, then he can come back not necessarily as your number one, but even if he comes back at age 36 or 37, even as your number 3, and he's healthy, he's your number 3 now, and not having to carry, but become a 19 and 11 guy. Right, become that guy and a devastating closer, right? That's who you become, and you should have deferred to other people. Then that's definitely plausible. But Giannis,
look, he's going to have to redefine himself,
right?
I mean, and that we don't know what that's going to look like. Not everyone can do it, Vince Carter did it. Russell Westbrook's done it 8 times.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson couldn't do it,
right?
And his career just. He went great, boom. And it just happens. And there are very few superstars that can become anything other than a superstar. And some of them won't do it. Like Obi was like, nah, I can't.
Yeah.
I am who I am, and that's it. Michael couldn't. He was always Michael. He changed based on his physical restraints. Once his knees a little bit, but he was never like a different player.
Well, he went to Washington where he was going to be the alpha. Had he cared about being the third guy on a championship contender, he would have gone to the Lakers.
But he couldn't
and play with Shaq and Kobe. But he probably mentally wasn't willing to accept that. Plus he had also a stake. He had a stake in the Wizards, so he figured if he had to get rid of the stake, then he figured he'd come back, help elevate the franchise, and then get back to having part ownership. But anyway, but yeah, 100%.
He's changed their stripes. It's really hard.
One of the greatest examples that really disappointed me was Allen Iverson, because I thought if Allen Iverson late in his career said, I'm going to become a facilitator and then assist as a closer, I think he lengthens his career. Like, don't take so many shots, right? Make it your goal to contend for the leader and assist. Be that guy, and then the shots will come to you anyway. So now you're not trying to get 25, 26. You're getting maybe 17, 18, but with 11 assists, and then you still can help close if needed. But he refused. He just couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
I got the ball. I'm going to get a shot. And he just wasn't effective. Allen Iverson, I'm not going to adjust. So I was so disappointed that he didn't make that adjustment. But see, Dame is a different type of cat. Like, I think because when Dame went to Milwaukee, he knew he'd be number 2, and he's always said, I don't care if I'm a number 2 guy.
He's number 2, averaging 27.
Well, no, he was averaging 27 there.
She did it. Like, his numbers are pretty darn good.
No, I know they're good.
25?
I think it's been like 24. It's still good, but I'm saying it came down from 28, 29 is what I'm saying. So,
yeah,
but hold on. But he was still in his 30s, still in his prime. Now he's not going to be in his prime coming off of injuries. I think he definitely can. So he was shooting 20 times with the Blazers, went down to 17 with Milwaukee shots per game. So that's giving up 3 shots. His scoring came down from 32 his last year with the Blazers to 24, 25. So he was a 28-30 guy.
24.9 is 25. I'm just saying.
Okay, sorry, you're right.
You've always said something that I've agreed with. Is that
really? When?
He could have been that he'll be able to play, minus devastating injuries, right? Which we've now seen, because he can shoot.
That's the other part of this.
And that's such a value.
Right. He doesn't have to be that guy. He can become shooter, facilitator, occasionally go to the basket when it's wide open. He's got to make sure he has good scores around him to spread things out. He's got a point guard matchup he can abuse. Great. If not, he's a distributor until he gets the wide open kickback and he just drains it. And I guarantee you his shooting percentage from 3 would go up because he'd be taking more quality wide open looks instead of trying to be the guy and trying to do a lot of step back quick stuff all the time, because he probably shouldn't be doing that as much if he's on the right team.
He could be Buddy Hield.
I mean, I'd give him more than that, but
I'm just saying, Buddy Hield, they're about the same size. Buddy Hield can't do those other things, but he can shoot.
Right.
Yeah, of course, right now,
a better version of Buddy Hield, a playmaking version of Buddy Hield, because Buddy Hield can't really play the point. But I get you. As a shooter,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, in terms of his
Buddy Hield's as a chance to be on a championship team, and he keeps getting other chances because he can shoot, and that's a huge value. But it's heartbreaking, and it just stinks because you were hoping at least it would turn out for one party in this trade, you know what I mean? Because it really hasn't panned out for the Blazers yet. And even, I mean, we're banking on the swaps making that trade, mean a ton for the Blazers. And so I was at least hoping that it would end up well for Dame. And right now that window looks like, I mean, it's cracked, but it's pretty much shut for a championship in Milwaukee. In my mind. Now, of course, things can change based on whatever happens this year, but who knows what's going to be with the Bucks when he's ready to come back and play.
Exactly. All right, let's touch on this real quick. So we have a few changes in the making on the Blazers staff. Roy Rogers, defensive coordinator, is not coming back. Chris Fleming, who was working a lot with Scoot Henderson, I wrote a big feature about that. Earlier this season. He was also helping out with the offense. He's not coming back. And Ryan Gomes, a developmental coach, is not coming back. Clearly, Chauncey is armed with 3 years of guaranteed years coming up. That's not necessarily an eternity, but it's enough time to be able to go out and sort of, make certain changes and adjustments to your staff. Unlike last year, he was coming in as a lame duck coach. And so he's going to go out and try and maybe make some, no disrespect to the guys on the way out, but, maybe higher end hires to help with the defense and the offense. He's talked about, we got to take the offense to a different level. One, because now the players he's been working with have elevated their basketball IQ. So now you can start taking the next step in the evolution of what you're doing offensively. I've heard criticism about, the offense isn't sophisticated enough. It's so simple, blah, blah, blah. Well, people, you have to understand you can only do what your guys are capable of doing. You can't put in a complex offense when half your roster been out of college for 2 years or out of the G League, right? It's just difficult to do. But there's been growth in that area. So now you're trying to take things to another level. Same thing with defense and how you handle your defense. If you run too complicated of a defense, young players are out of position, you're getting torched. So anyway, there's evolution going to be there. What do you think about what's going on? And we haven't seen the new hires yet, but just the plan.
Sure. So the thing that's interesting is where usually you can understand power shifts and how things, happen, but because of ownership and how Chauncey got in here and how Joe Cronin got in his position, it's kind of strange because he's letting go coaches that he just brought in. And so with certain guys when he got here, my guess is that they were saying, like, you got to bring so-and-so with you, Roy Rogers is the one that's interesting to me just because he's been here for a while and was the defensive coach, that we were told. And the other one, so I assume what you're saying, I was going to ask you, is this Chauncey being able to kind of, now that he's got the extension, say, it's my staff now. Like, I'm done with hearing who you think I should have and accepting it because you've got more power than me. And I'm only got 1 year left. And now I got 3 years. So I'm at least,
So he made some tweaks last year. Brooks left on his own. He didn't bring back his brother. He made some tweaks, but they were like, everyone knew they could all be bounced, right? So it's hard to go out and get, a high-end coordinator on defense or offense when it's like, why am I going to come there? We might all be fired in 9 months, right?
Yep.
So now with a 3-year contract, and the team is a little bit more attractive too to someone maybe of a higher caliber. And I hate saying that because I'm not trying to disrespect the guys going out, but people that he may want who think is going to be a better fit and be able to bring them in and give them 3-year deals, right? Because he has a 3-year deal. So it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in and if it's, a quote unquote upgrade. My thing still is, I'm just going to, I'm not trying to say coaching doesn't matter, but, they can bring in the greatest offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in the history of the NBA. It's all about the Jimmys and the Joes, right? You still got to see evolution there. But still,
and guys like coaching great players too, because they
exactly
they look good.
So we'll see. If the players evolve and you upgrade the coaching, then you feel like you should have a better all-around product, and we'll see if that comes to fruition. All right, next thing up here, we're going to dive into the centers, but first, we're going to talk about Donovan Clingan, one of those centers, received 0 votes for Rookie of the Year. Scoot received 0. Shaden also received 0. That's 3 picks in the top 10, number 7, number 3, number 7. However, there's a chance he could still be on the all-rookie team. Now, I voted him second team. I also voted Tamani Kamara second team all-defense. Kamara finished 13th in Defensive Player of the Year voting, so he got some votes, which is unusual considering that the team was under 500, didn't make the postseason. So if he ranked 13th, it gives him a shot of maybe, getting on the on the all defensive team.
On the second team.
Yeah, on the second team. Hold on a second here. Clingan then also he got 0 votes. But anyway, Clingan has a shot as well. So anyway, what do you, let's just talk about the fact that 3 rookies, none of them even receiving a sniff for Rookie of the Year. Matas Buzelas from the Bulls had 1, vote, one number 3 vote or whatever. Okay, go ahead.
It's terrible. You got 3 top 10 teams and they can't get one vote. Like it's terrible. You know, it
Horrible.
I don't know how else to say it. Like it's not everything, but I think it's hard to do. I think that if you went back, I mean, the Spurs, for instance, obviously it's Wemby was what it was, but they got they got 2 straight rookie of the years.
Let me correct myself first. Sorry. Tumani was 9th in defensive player of the year, not 13th. So 9th would put him in the top 10 in theory if people vote their all defensive team the way they voted defensive player of the year. And like I said, Clingan got 0 votes. And then so real quick, Shaedon Sharpe got 33 total points for all rookie. Last year was 13th, so he just missed. And the year before, Shaedon was 12th with 36 points, so he just missed all rookie. So they were relatively close. So we'll see where Clingan finishes. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like to not get one of your 3 to even be in the thought process,
right?
A thought process for rookie of the year when, I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, the Scoot pick's the one that you're always going to circle and say, well, that's the 3rd overall pick, and he's not at the cusp of anything. Meanwhile, Steven Castle is rookie of the year for the Spurs, averaging more points, like just overall better, but he only averaged 14.6 points. It's not like this was not a great rookie class. And I think Clingan played really well for where he was picked and who he was. So I have no disappointment in Clingan. We're going to get to grading him in a little bit. So that's not the one that makes me say, oh, what a disappointment with Clingan. I just think overall, if you're grading, just from the point of view of 3 top 10 picks and where you're at, it's not great.
Okay, so I presented that in the article I posted, but I also presented the counter side of this. All right, so I'm gonna say a bunch of stuff now. You're gonna roll your eyes, but
of course
I'm gonna say it. Okay, all right. So, not all rookie situations are created equal. Castle came into a position where there wasn't a lot of great guards on their team, and you had Paul, and Keldon Johnson's okay. He was able to start 47 games and get a lot of shots. Let's go back to Shaedon. Shaedon came in as a guy who didn't play at Kentucky at all. So he's basically kind of out of high school. And he comes to a team with Dame and Ant as the primary guards. And so he's in a position where there aren't free minutes there and free opportunities to just do what he wanted to do. He closed the season, the last 11 games, though, averaging 22-6 and shooting really well, which showed that had he been allowed to run amok as a rookie, like many do when they go top number 7 because they go to bad teams, he had to play the back seat until Dame and Ant were benched for while tanking, and then he went off. So Shaedon, in the right situation, would have definitely received Rookie of the Year votes had he been given that green light. Scoot came into a situation out of the G League where, again, he's coming to a team where you have Ant and you still have Shaedon, because Shaedon's ahead of him. Ant's way ahead of him. Now, he started early because Ant was out, and he clearly struggled. And I'm not saying he would have been in contention for Rookie of the Year. But again, he's coming into a situation where literally they have people at his position and Malcolm Brogdon too, right? So it's tough for him to go out there and put up numbers that are going to draw Rookie of the Year consideration, but he did receive some all rookie team votes. Then you come to Clingan. Well, Clingan comes to a team that had 3 centers under contract, including a starter, and then a really good backup who should have, who got hurt, which opened some doors for Clingan, as well as Ayton later in the season. And Clingan, he led rookies in block shots. He averaged 7, and his numbers were pretty solid. If there's no Ayton on this team and he plays the entire season, he's probably a double-double with 2.5 blocks a game, and then he's getting some votes. So I'm just trying to say that, yes, at the end of the day, it ain't great, but not all situations are created equal.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is basically, yeah, I agree. I mean, again, to me, I'm just overall, when you say out loud, the Blazers had 3 consecutive top 10 picks, and none of them were in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. That's not good. I mean, like, because all those situations that you're describing, we could go back and look at other people that have overcome those things to get there. And again, I'm going to grade Clingan really well in just a bit because I agree with everything you're saying. But I also think that he did end up starting 37 games, and that could get you in the conversation a lot of times. And Zach Edey was better, and he got drafted after. So I still would probably I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day, like, would I want Edey or Clingan right now? You know what I mean? Like, he's younger, he's more athletic, but man, Edey's like, he's different and he's doing stuff. Even though in a race, you and I might be able to beat him now. I don't know. But so I agree with what you're saying, except for there were opportunities for all of them if they were better. Like, that's it. I mean, I think the Scoot ones, the other two arguments work for me. The Scoot one doesn't work that much for me because they would have cleared the runway, in a way to get him minutes. They did. They tried. But he did not play the way they described him. Right. I mean, I'll let you, you love bringing the specific word they used up. But I mean, you look at the overall products of 3 top 10 picks, and we don't have one of them that we're circling and saying that's a pillar.
Right. Yeah.
You want to get what, if you can't get, you can't go over 3 for pillars with 3 top 10 picks. Like, you just can't.
Right. I still think and again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Shaden's the only one who might become like, okay, this guy could still become a star. I don't know yet if that's Jalen Green level. I think Jalen Green's the floor. Like, I think he can be as effective as Jalen Green. Right. And Jalen Green, though, is kind of up and down and, whatever. I think he can definitely be that. Could he be, Devin Booker, which has been attached to him? Could he be Brandon Roy, which has been attached to him? I don't know. But I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. So I still have high hopes for him. And Clingan, I don't think Clingan has that type of ability, but I think he's definitely going to become better than he is now. He's 12 years old.
and Scoot
as well. But you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, it would be much nicer if 2 of these guys received votes for Rookie of the Year, and we're shoo-ins for first or second team, all rookie. And the fact that they're not, it just needs to be a reminder that means that in the previous 2 years and probably this year, that other teams drafting in the lottery, that at least 9, 8, well, it depends on where Clingan finishes the voting this year, but at least 10 rookies were considered better. And if you're trying to rebuild through the draft, that's not great.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
All right. And again, let me just be clear. This is a vote. It's a thing. It's not a big thing. You know what I mean? Like, just because you don't get votes for Rookie of the Year, that's not why we decide where you are as far as if you were successful or not. And it doesn't mean you give up completely on them.
No.
Either, because you can't. Because and it doesn't mean, again, when we talk about centers, I'm gonna be real. Clingan's going to do well in my grading system.
Well, let's take being excited about young players. So Memphis has Morant, Jaren Jackson, right? They were a 50-plus win team a couple years ago before all the injuries hit last year. They were close to 50 wins this year. And they have 2 players who were in the top 6 for Rookie of the Year voting.
Right, because they're good.
And they were,
right, that's good.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they were drafted after Clingan.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was being even nicer with, going with Edie, you know what I mean, and wondering where you're at, because I think that the Blazers, getting a big man was smart, and but I think that
oh my God, Jalen Wilson was a second round pick.
Yeah, no, look, we all know that they have not. The thing about the Blazers is their grade is such a solid, if like C for this, just because we still haven't figured out where they are. But it could end up being a D or an F. You know what I mean? And it could end up being an A, because no one's giving up yet. So that's where there's a chance that if you go 0 for 3 for Pillars with 3 first round, 3 top 10 picks, that's failing. There's no way around that. You can't tell me, even if they're solid starters, you could not do much better than D+, because these are top 10 picks. This is where and especially when you're Portland and you're not trading for all-stars. You're not finding other avenues. You have to hit. You have to get Brandon Roy. You have to get LaMarcus Aldridge. You have to get Damian Lillard. You know what I mean? Like that's what made the teams, even CJ, with a top, upper end pick. You can't Greg Oden every time, you know what I mean? Like, and right now, you can't look at these picks and feel like, oh, we did great. All you could say is, we're not giving up. We're not giving up yet.
All right, let's dive into the center position real quick.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a fascinating position. They're all kind of fascinating, really, right? So DeAndre Ayton is the best center on the team. What?
Yes. Are we going to talk about like 4, Ayton, Clingan, Williams, and Reith? Is that kind of what we're doing?
Those are centers.
Good.
Yeah, so where the position is right now. So clearly Ayton's the best player, but he has 1 year left on his deal at like $36 million. It's been talked about that ideally they probably would like to get something for him. I don't know if they view him as a long-term solution there, especially because it's dicey, man. Because if he's your best center and he's able to be an 18-10 guy, he's going to come in, he's going to want some money. Even if he took a pay cut, it's still going to be 30 at least. And so are you going to pay him that much to keep him? I don't know, because you probably feel like Clingan long-term is a better fit for what you want, because you want defense from that position, which sometimes Ayton doesn't give you that. And then Clingan clearly to me is a number 2 center, because you can't trust Williams at this point. There's no reason to believe he's going to come back and be fully healthy next season. So I guess for you, what would be, let me just ask you this. What would be your ideal situation this summer heading into next year with this position? And I think I know where you're going to go with it, but just if you were the GM and you could just do what you wanted to do, what would that be?
So let me just say, we thought this was going to be a huge strength position, and it ended up being not.
But during the winning streak, it was, though.
So Ayton was balling. Again, we're going to go down to a dozen games or less
right.
in an 80-game season. Like, we're going to grade differently. But that's not how it works, right? Because then Scoot gets an A, and we didn't give him that. So I don't care what you say about Ayton and this 18-10 stuff, because at the end of the day, he played 40 games. He averaged 30 minutes a game in the 40 that he played. He averaged 14.4 and 10.2 rebounds. So that's not even 18-10 on a team where they didn't have a 20-point score. And Robert Williams played 20 games. I mean, and now I have zero idea if you could. There's no future for Robert Williams on this team. There's no long-term future for Ayton on this team, in my opinion. But I don't know what the heck you could get for either one of them now. So I don't know. I would not. I know you think I would say I'd trade Ayton. I would trade Ayton if there was something great. But I think you get whatever you can. I mean, to me, I don't care if you bring them all back, because the best case scenario is somehow Ayton's healthy and averaging 18-10. Williams is playing and somebody wants either one of them or both, and you move them for assets. I agree that Clingan is, 80-20, that 80% of me says he's a backup. 20% says centers do wild stuff and he's got athletic ability. And if he could shoot threes, he passes well. He does pass well. No, he's not the Joker, but he passes all right. And you can look at what the Clippers have at center that took a huge step. And I'm not like saying he can't do that yet. He's 20, 21 years old and never had to be the focus of the offense, winning 2 titles in college and then here. So to me, I'd bring them all back unless something shocks me and someone says, I want Ayton, or I want Williams, and I'm going to give you something of value. But at the same time, they might know things we don't know and just be like, we just got to get rid of them and get them. We just got to move on. You know what I mean? But to me, I want to see that version of Ayton that you've talked about potentially being there. So much so that someone's convinced that the first 5 years of his career are in the past and he's a new man. But yeah, I don't feel it's a strength anymore. And that's disappointing.
So, man, this is so complicated because if you want to win next season, like if you really want to get to 500 and get into the postseason, you almost gotta hope that Ayton comes back and is balling out like he was before he got hurt. Because that guy was a difference maker. They were 8-0 with him in the lineup during that 10-11 stretch. And he was killing it. We all saw it. He was more engaged. He was more energetic. He was more vibrant. He was just going at it and just knocking down those mid-range jumpers and being aggressive and putting juke moves on people and taking them inside and spinning. And he was just a completely different cat. And what he said was, I've been waiting for everyone else to catch up to me. Okay, that's fair because you've been in the NBA Finals, right? So I'll give you that. You play with Chris Paul, right? You played with Devin Booker. So maybe you were waiting for some of these kids to grow up because you played with marquee all-star future Hall of Famers. So if he comes back and he gives you that, then you can't trade him at the break if he's your guy, because then you're going to downgrade. If you go through the season with him, now he's a free agent, you're going to give him money to bring him back? And if by a chance you say, well, we don't think you're going to get 36 on the market, we'll give you 20, and he takes it, he's not going to be happy about that. Like, I can't imagine DeAndre Ayton taking a huge pay cut and coming back and not being pissed, especially if he was just killing it for you, right? So, but if you trade him this offseason, you're not going to get that much for him. And then you have to go say, okay, we're going with Clingan and Williams, and maybe we can pick up another vet. Like, if you can do that, then maybe you can get by. To me, that almost has to be the hope, because there's nothing good that I can see coming out of bringing him back for part of the season or the full season unless you're committed to him long-term at a nice contract level, or otherwise you're going to create a problem. And if you don't want to do that, then just cut bait now, but you're going to take a step back at center. Now, Clingan, to me, Clingan can be a 1A if you have a really good 1B. Like if you have a 1B, like if Williams were healthy, if you could rely on Williams for 24 minutes and Clingan for 24 minutes, I think you're good. Because you have so many slashers and scorers. You don't need a lot of points from those two. They don't need the ball. They're going to crash to the glass for you. Those 2 in 48 minutes are literally giving you 15 and 20 and 4 blocks. Like, you agree with that? You're getting that.
I do.
Right. What?
I do, except for there's no chance you could get 24 minutes a game from Robert Williams.
Well,
for
that's
80
what I'm saying.
Games. That's
what I said.
It's a dream scenario.
I know. I said if you were healthy. That's my point, though. Then I think you're good. So you have to find someone to be that other guy.
Yeah.
To take the pressure off Clingan, because I just don't see Clingan being the number one center getting 33 minutes a game in year 2. Like maybe a few years down the road, but year 2, I just don't necessarily buy it. So to me, you go out there and say, okay, do we have to attach a pick to Ayton? Is there someone out there who has a guy that maybe they don't want anymore and we'll take them and swap the salaries, and they get a big that maybe they can use and then figure out what they want to do, and we as in the Blazers get a forward or a guard, and sort of see what happens with them, and then maybe you just let them go, or maybe you don't. Who knows? Then maybe you try and do that. But that would be my best bet, because I just feel like if you bring him back, he's either not going to play well and then you can't get anything for him anyway, or B, A, he's going to be a negative. He's not playing well, not playing, or B, he's going to kill it. Then you can't trade him at the deadline because you're going to hurt yourself the rest of the season, and then you can't really commit to re-signing him because you have to give him a bunch of money, and if you don't, he's going to be disgruntled. So that's sort of how I see it. Very complicated.
It is complicated.
Bring back Zach Collins.
Oh, see, I was going a different direction.
Go ahead.
Why don't you trade him for the Suns, because they're not using Nurkic.
Nurkic isn't there. Nurkic got pushed out with Charlotte.
I know. He said Charlotte. I'm just saying, like, it's just amazing how that trade was such a big deal. Now it's clear that the Suns just needed him off the roster, and they were hoping for something. Obviously, everyone went wrong. I don't see how you could get value for him, but if you can this summer, great. If not, I say to him, prove it. Go make it tough for us. Like, that to me is best case scenario. If he somehow shows up and averages 18 and 11 or 20 and 10, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's like, make us think about it. I don't know. I just feel shutting him down, playing him the way they did this year. It didn't feel like they think of him as a future part of the team. And my guess is he does not play defense the way Chauncey Billups would like his center to play defense. That's just my thought. I don't have anything to back that up other than Chauncey's resume and Ayton's resume. But Chauncey played with a dude that all he did was dunk, rebound, and knock people down, and he was like 6'6". So so there's, to me, I just don't see it. I'll do my grades real quick because we promised some grades. To me, Ayton's a C-.
Oh, come on. You got to boost him up. I give him a C+. Go ahead.
I don't understand. I mean, he averaged 14 and 7. Like, we wanted the guy to average 18 and 10. He averaged 14 and 7. Like, he's making $30 million a year, and he played 40 games. Like, how is that C is average? How do you think he had an above average season? Because of 12 games?
Hold on. Okay. Here's why.
I'll hold on.
Here's why. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So I give him credit for deferring a lot of the time. So he wasn't being asked. Like, we may have wanted to see it, but the Blazers are not asking Ayton to be 18, 20, and 10. He was not being given the opportunities. They wanted him to do pick and roll and crash and get the hell out of the way, not wait for the pick and pop. They did not run a ton of things necessarily for him to be that guy. So I give him credit for at least deferring and saying, okay, whatever. And then when they did ask him to be that guy, and he elevated the play. And to me, if he stays healthy, they got a real good shot at making the play. So I'm just going to give him credit for that. That's why it's C+. I'm not giving him a B or an A. But dude, we're splitting hairs here, and we neither one of us have hairs to spare. So it's, so it's close. That should be the name of the podcast.
No hair to spare. No hair to
spare. No hair to spare. So anyway, but I think we're generally in agreement. But I give a guy. At the end of the day, dude, he was a 20 and 10 guy for a contender, and he came here and deferred and tried to buy into some things where he wasn't the focal point. And then when he was killing it. So I'm gonna give him credit for killing it when asked to kill it.
So I'm just going to say my final thing.
Okay.
14.4 is tied for his worst amount ever in the NBA
but it's
a year.
Okay.
I'm just saying, hold on. His 10.2 is lower than his career average. He shot 56% from the field. And I am sorry. That's not good. For him. He shot 63% twice. He's, again, the only 1 year did he shoot below worse than that.
All right, moving on to Clingan, I'm giving him a B-. And I'm giving him because he was a rookie. I think he stepped up and played pretty well for a rookie.
I give him a B. I think that he played better than I expected. I think he played better than I expected. So that's how I'm doing this. Like, a C is to me when I say a C is like if above where you should play if you're a B. and he was above where he should play, in my opinion. I mean, he averaged almost 8 rebounds a game. He was a defensive presence. Offensively, he didn't try to do too much. We knew he wasn't in great shape, but we never expected him to play this much. And I do not feel like they lost a lot of games because Clingan was in the game. And to me, that says something for a rookie that had, who was not expected to start so many games and play so many minutes. And I think anytime a rookie center that's wearing a Portland Trailblazers uniform ends the season healthy, you get a half a grade. Like, just for being healthy. Like, let's be honest. So even though I thought it was a C+, I'm bumping it to a B because he walked off the court in uniform at the end of the season. And we're not talking about a surgery. So I'm down with that as being a plus, because that is not always the case with the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, Williams, I'm going to give him a D, but not because it's his fault.
Not his
just
fault.
Because injury's not his fault. I give him as a player a B plus, because when he was healthy, my God, he's so athletic. His spring, getting off the ground, blocking shots or grabbing rebounds, flying down he brings so much to the table when he's good to go. So as a player, if we just take the minutes when he was healthy, B plus, if not A minus. But he hasn't been healthy, which is not his fault. So you got to give his overall contributions a D, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. It's a D. And some of it has to do with the fact that, so I'd say it's a D for him as a player, and it's an F for his roster spot, because it's worst case scenario for why he's on the Blazers. I mean, he was supposed to be able to provide some mentoring on the court for their rookie, and also bring in assets. And that didn't happen because he played so few games, and we didn't get to see why. Look, the Blazers didn't get him to be the future center. They got him to get to hopefully get
assets,
something, right? And now I don't know if anyone gives anything up for him that's worth anything. I mean, why would you?
Right.
I mean, the reason why he was available is because no one thought he could stay healthy, and he didn't. So, yep, D.
Okay. Reef, I'm going to give Reef a C minus. Now, here's what's interesting. I've been doing these review look-aheads, and so I started with the bottom of the roster moving up, and it's clear, how many guys, all their numbers went down because the opportunities decreased, because the previous season there were so many injuries that Murray, Reef, Walker, et cetera, all got so many more starts and minutes. This year, not as much. All of Reef's numbers are down, of course, but the big thing really is efficiency. Like Walker's efficiency, Jabari Walker's shooting up in every category. Reef's and Murray's all went down. So, and for someone like him, like he shot 46% from the field and 39% last year. This year, 42 and 32. Not a huge jump, but not a huge drop, so to speak. But still, he's got to get better, not get worse in that regard. However, he did get better from March 12th through April 3rd. He had a nice run when he was getting more minutes. Because Ayton and Williams were out. But forget, the points went up. We expect that. But his shooting went up 47% from the field, 38.5 from long distance. He's under contract for next year, so he's clearly going to be back unless he's thrown into a trade. But, his whole thing is going to be Billups has to be able to put him in, and he's going to drain wide open threes. And improve a little bit on defense if you can. But because his shooting numbers went down, when to me there's really no excuse for them to have gone down at all, I give him a C minus.
I give him a C minus. The excuse for me is that he, shooters got to shoot. And if you sit for so long, you don't play, and then you get in, it's hard to have the rhythm. That said, the guys that stay in the league for a long time that have a skill set of shooting, they get in and they score. They make them. You know what I mean? Because they know that's what I do. And shooting 32% doesn't make you a high-value three-point asset. It just doesn't. 39% from the center position does, right? But we all know that if you want to be, quote-unquote, a three-point specialist it's hard to do it at the center position. So you got to be really, really good to do that. Right. And 32% is not really, really good. And, but that said, like, the guy's success story is amazing. It was my favorite story of the year last year, that this guy had no business making it to the NBA. He had no business not giving up, and he didn't. And he's going to play in the NBA for a third year next year. I hope. You know, you do worry that he gets traded and just to fill in. So, but yeah, that's where we're at.
All right, sounds great. Next up, we got the guard position. Dun 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 dun. That's gonna be fun. We'll do that next week on the Blazer Focus podcast. See you then.
Okay.